Hello, welcome to Laser Etched Pint Glass. My name is Ken, Digital Services Specialist at the Barrington Area Library. To complete this tutorial, you will need to download a free software called Inkscape, which we will use to create our designs. After your design is complete, please email the file to digitalservices@balibrary.org. Also, feel free to email me with any questions you have regarding this tutorial. For those of you that signed up for the program, there will be no charge for this pint glass. Because space is limited for the program, if you did not sign up, or if you're watching this at a later date, you can still complete this tutorial, but please note that we charge $1 per pint glass for projects outside of programs. Here are some examples of what a completed pint glass will look like. Okay, so first let's start at balibrary.org and then scroll down the page. Under upcoming events, you may see laser etched pint glass. If you don't see this, then click on register and view all programs, and then you'll be able to search for laser etched pint glass. So once you're on the event page, scroll down and we'll see a couple links here. First, let's click Download Inkscape. That brings us to inkscape.org. And so in order to download, let's click the Download Now button. And then that brings us to a page where you can either download the Windows version or the Mac version. Then just follow the prompts on your computer to complete the installation. After you download Inkscape, let's go ahead and download the template. Here's a link to the template. That will take us to Google Drive. Go ahead and click Download in the upper right corner. Now the template will be in your Downloads folder. When you open up Inkscape, you'll see a box that looks like this. Go ahead and select New Document. And then also go ahead and maximize the window here. This is what Inkscape looks like by default. We see that there's a blank document here. In this case, we want to import our template. So let's go up to the menu and go to File and Open. And then let's navigate to our Downloads folder. And then in your Downloads folder, find Laser Etched Pint Glass Template.svg and click Open. To do an automatic zoom so that we see the full document, let's hit the 5 key on the keyboard. That will show the full document and give us a good idea of what we're working with. You will notice that this template looks sideways, and that is intentional. The reason for this is that when I place the glass into the laser cutter, I put it in sideways. So it will be necessary for us to rotate our design so that it's sideways like this. Also, it's important that we keep our design within these two guidelines. We don't want the glass to be etched too close to the top or to the bottom. It could create unnecessary cracks in the glass. In Inkscape, you can scroll up and down or left to right. You can zoom in using the plus key and out using the minus key. And again, just hit the 5 key for a nice automatic zoom. Now let's start to think about our design. I will go through 2 options with you today. The first will be making a design with an online tool called Monogram Frames. The second option will be searching for an image on the internet and then importing that into Inkscape. I will also show you how to add text to your design. If you already have a file that you want to use, then feel free to skip ahead in the video to the part where I talk about importing a file into Inkscape. Visit monogramframes.com. Monogram Frames is an online tool where you can use their stock designs to create a personalized image to use on your pint glass. If we scroll down the page here, we can see the fonts are on the left-hand side and the frames are on the right-hand side. You can also select by a category, which is really nice. They have a lot of cool stuff on here. So I selected my frame, and now I'm going to look at all the fonts. And then up here, I can type whatever I want. Also, you can adjust the size of the font with this slider down here. Once you're happy with your design, scroll down the page and we'll download it. Click download your files. And then you can ignore this start button. Scroll down here, click on I've read and accept the terms and conditions, and then we want to download the SVG. So click SVG, and then it will be in your downloads folder. So now we're back in Inkscape, and I'm going to import the file that I just downloaded from Monogram Frames. I'm going to go to File, and then choose Import. And then I find the file in my Downloads folder and click Open, and then click OK. And then here we see that it imported. So I'm not going to add any extra text to this design, so I'm just going to go ahead and rotate it now. To rotate it, just click on the image twice. After you do it a second time, you'll notice that these arrows on the corners turn into rotation arrows. Hold down the Control key on your keyboard and then click and drag the arrow, and it will snap nicely to 15-degree increments. This design looks pretty good. If you wanted to increase or decrease the size, then just click on the image once, and then you'll see these straight arrows in the corner. Again, hold down Control and then click and drag to resize the image, however big you want. If you ever need to undo anything, you can just come up to Edit and Undo. If you need to move your image between these two lines, you can also nudge it with the arrow keys. You can do the left and right arrow keys just to get it perfectly between these two lines here. And then the last thing we want to do is delete where it says top of glass and bottom of the glass, because if you do not delete these, then they will actually etch onto the glass, and we don't want that. So just go ahead and select top of glass and then hit the delete or backspace key on your keyboard, and then do the same with bottom of the glass. We do not need to delete these two guide markers. They will not etch onto the glass. It also doesn't matter how far up or down your design is. We just want to make sure that it's in between these two lines. It doesn't have to be exactly centered vertically on the page. So now that I'm done with this design, I'm going to save it. I will go to File and then Save As. And go ahead and save the file as your first and last name. And we also want to save it as a PDF file. So if PDF is not selected, then from this drop-down menu, go ahead and choose PDF and then click Save. After your file is saved to your computer, then attach that file to an email to digitalservices@balibrary.org. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to download an image from the internet to use in your design. We want to have an image that's black and white that will give us the best result. So what I like to do is I'll search for a silhouette or clip art and then narrow the search that way. So for example, if I wanted a picture of a tiger, then I would type tiger silhouette. And then I'm going to click on images. and then you can scroll through all the images and find one that you like. If the image that you find has a little bit of color, that's probably okay, but we want to avoid images with lots of different colors. So I like this image. I'm going to right click on it and click Save Image As. And then I'm just going to name it Tiger and save it to my Downloads folder. And now I'm back in Inkscape, and I'm going to choose File and Import. And then I'm going to find the Tiger JPEG and open it up, and then I'm going to click OK. Alright, so my image is pretty big, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Okay, so this image is a pixel image. I need to convert it to a vector image. So make sure that you have the image selected, and then come up to Path, and then Trace Bitmap, and then the Trace Bitmap menu will pop up. And go ahead and click on Update, and that's pretty good. You'll kind of get a preview of what the image will look like over here. If you want the image to appear darker, then increase the brightness threshold. You can do that by clicking the plus sign over here. And then just click Update, and then you'll notice it kind of gets darker. So feel free to adjust the brightness threshold depending on if you want your image a little bit darker or lighter. And then click Apply. And so now we have two images. Go ahead and click and drag one of them off. And so we want to keep the image that you can see through. So if I drag both the images over the edge of my document, I can see the line through here, and I can also see this other text through it. So I want to keep this one. For example, if I drag this over here, then you'll notice it covers up everything else on the page. That's the one that I want to delete. So now let's rotate and resize the image. First, let me resize it. I'm going to press the Control key and then move this arrow inwards. Now I'm going to click twice on the image, and then I'm going to rotate it. Again, hold down Control and rotate it. And now I'll zoom in a little bit. It's also very easy to add text to your design. Go ahead and click on the text tool, which is this letter A, and then you can click anywhere and then type any text that you want. And then to choose a font, you can come up to the top here and scroll through a list of fonts, and you'll see a live preview of what the font looks like. You can also adjust the font size over here with this drop-down menu. Also, you can resize the text box just like you can resize an image. So I'm going to rotate the text as well. So I kind of like this design. If you would prefer to center the text, let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to put the name under here, and then I'm going to select my image, and then I'm going to hold down Shift, and then also select my text. And then we can go to the Align and Distribute menu. If you don't see that, then come up to Object, and then Align and Distribute. And then we can center to the page. So I'm going to center both of these on the vertical axis. And then also I can group them together. You can hold down Command G to group them. So now they will be one object and they're centered. So you may need to resize slightly. And then you can center again and nudge it with your arrow key. Okay, so I like how that looks now. And again, just delete the text on the top of the glass and the bottom of the glass. And then I'm good to go. Go to File, and then Save As. And again, just save it as your first name and last name, and then click Save down here. Thank you so much for completing this tutorial. I look forward to seeing your designs. Please email them to digitalservices@balibrary.org, and have a good day.